So hi, I'm Ayser Salman,
And I'm Siadat,
and we are the team behind My So-Called Iraqi Wedding. I am the writer, director, producer, and she's the producer.
actress and producer.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us. We're really excited
yeah.
to.
Thank you so much for being here. And I meant to ask you first how this idea got into maybe both brains, and then how you managed to make a film out of it.
So I'm from Iraq, and I have always been fascinated by the multicultural, multi-layered of the weddings in Iraq. Specifically, I love the debka, even though I can't as much as I try, I'm not very good about doing it. But I just thought it would be really interesting to make a short film that kind of, promoted, but also kind of poked fun a little bit about the different stages and how elaborate it is, and then and to have an actual dance sequence. And actually, this is a short proof of concept for a feature film that we're both trying to make. So we thought we might as well just do it ourselves and have something to show for it,
Yeah,
and use it as a tool to sell it, the feature.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it certainly can attract a lot of people. Would be interested in knowing more about this. This word. In fact, it's probably for the who is your audience? Because I'm wondering if you did this for maybe also Arab or maybe people who have settled in the US but are of Arab origin, or maybe yeah, because I find a lot of connections even with how in Morocco we deal with weddings and this issue of weddings, especially on the women's side, the girls'
Right.
side.
Well, we'll say that the audiences we've shown it to have been really mixed. Some of the audiences have been from overseas, and some of them have been American, all the way from Arab American to just white American who don't know anything about the Middle Eastern culture to Arabs, in the region. And I'll say that we're grateful so far that both have really enjoyed it, and they enjoy it for different reasons. The Middle Eastern audience enjoys it because they see themselves reflected on screen. They get to laugh at some of the chaos that comes with the wedding and the ceremony and the family. And Americans often feel like they're getting a peek behind the curtain into a world that they are unfamiliar with. And so they've really enjoyed learning from watching the movie, but also along for the laughs and the ride and the characters. So right now we feel like the movie is for everyone, anyone who has crazy family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like you said, that you saw some elements in your own in the kind of the Moroccan culture. I always feel that the more
But
specific you
الله
are,
يخليكم كان سجل. Sorry, somebody was disturbing the discussion.
oh my
It's
goodness.
okay.
Go
It's
Yeah.
ahead.
okay. And no
Um,
Sorry.
problem.
so like you said that the Iraqi that you saw elements in the Moroccan culture as well. And I always feel like the more specific you are, the more universal you can be. So, because everybody has, and like Sarah was saying, we've had people that are not just Arab, they're not just American, they're not just Middle Eastern. They've kind of been from different aspects of the world, but they each kind of say, "Oh, that's so interesting that you had X thing in there, or you had this dance, or when the mom is like this, it reminds me of something in my own family." And so that's kind of what we wanted to go for. Is that it doesn't that like Sarah said, it's for everybody. It's for everybody who wants, comedy. It's for anybody who has sort of a family that is very involved, shall we
Yeah,
say, and just so many other aspects of it that appeal to
yeah,
people.
yeah.
First and
Well,
foremost, the comedy.
you made it quite peculiar in how this family is working, because the dad seems to be gone on the other side of the fence, when the mother is really the one who's really after this experience. The wedding is she wants her daughter to experience the wedding. So it's interesting also how, and I probably this is also an exercise. How do we adapt to our new culture when we move, from the Arab world to the States, and obviously this adaptation is very different from one person to another. Yeah. And
well, I know I come from immigrant parents. I'm first generation American. And so for me, watching this was very interesting because I feel like I'm like this character. I live here, I was born here, I feel American, but my parents really insisted on certain cultures in our lives. So it's a fun reflection that's played out.
yeah, exactly. You also, I mean, this is tradition versus modernity. We, these two themes playing together. But you also made some very bold choices in terms of directing, even acting. In terms of, first of all, not giving any space for the guy. The guy is not there. I mean, he's supposed to be somewhere, but he's not there. So.
It's interesting because again, I was married briefly, and when my mother came time to do all the parties and things, one of them, she said, I'm going to have my friends come over, and I said, well, he's my fiance isn't available, and she goes, it doesn't matter because it's not really about, there's certain things that it's really just, the mother that wants the daughter to be the bride and all of that kind of thing. And it's just, it's sort of the ultimate in, I don't want to say status, but some sort of like cultural achievement, right? That your daughter is, married and settled, and, hopefully inshallah, she has a good guy, but it doesn't.
Well, it's the moms in Arab culture very often feel it's their duty to take the girl up to the the wedding, and then they're done. Their mission is
they get to they get to start their next chapter with their husband and their family.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
They give away the bride.
Exactly. So yeah, even here we have it's very common to see that. But at the same time, even in the Arab world now, girls don't want to get married that early. They usually they can't find. Very often there is also this problem of not finding the person they're looking for. So and which means that it's also a global situation for well, I don't know if it's for all over the world, but at least for Arab origin girls, this situation where they have to study quite late and start working, and then start maybe thinking of getting a husband, but then they have to hear a lot of things before they get to that point, because they're just like the mother. They're pushing you. You're not good enough. Everybody is fighting for the women, and nobody's fighting for you, and all these things. And this is probably why maybe we understand now. You at the end of the story that, in fact, the main character was kind of accepted something that she wasn't really convinced of.
Right. It's I love the way you sort of mirrored back our story, but in reality. And it's very true. I feel like the world has changed and a lot of women are waiting, and the parents of a different generation are not comfortable with the amount of time that they're waiting. They were really thinking they were going to be married over 10 years sooner than they actually get married.
Yeah. Among also the choices is the breaking the fourth wall. In this movie, you used it as a nice comedy tool to get across quite a few information, but also it's also very humoristic, and to see it in different the mother and obviously the main character. So what inspired that? Why are you making this? This is your style? Is this or
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of thing when it comes to comedies, you know, where you can just use all of the elements of the medium. And it seemed like a good way to give information. It's kind of part explainer video, just sort of how to have an Iraqi wedding, but to keep it comedic and then just kind of move the story along. Seemed to be that was, you know, it seemed to lend itself to that kind of thing. But I
yeah.
love, you know, movies and stories and things like that do that kind of engage the audience or if it's a book, the reader.
And I'll say that this movie or the short film you've seen is pulled from the feature film script. So most of
Okay.
the stuff that's in the short is in the
Mhm.
feature, but you know, Ayser had to craft clever ways to weave the story together in 13 minutes because this is based off of a, you know, an hour and a half long film, and we had to
Yeah.
kind of squeeze it all in there. So I think the storytelling, this was an easier way also
Mhm.
to move it
Oh,
along.
okay. I thought at first that you made the short and then now you will start writing the which is a larger version, but you already have the script for the. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. So it's really I know, for example, Torino Film Festival accepts this kind of projects. In order to be financed, you know, they're ready to. You should look into that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, we
Because
will.
they accept that you would make a short with as a way to present a feature film, and so that they may maybe get involved or not, and they get
That's amazing.
the taste of so that could be very interesting to explore with the film in your hands. So in the big in the lot the you will just take down the time to finance the feature film, and then you will make the feature film.
Yes,
This is okay.
that is the plan. We're moving forward, looking ready, you know, wanting to, this is the dream, to make this thing
Yeah.
into bigger audiences, you know.
Okay. It's a theme we see. It's very interesting theme because you know, I've seen movies. This situation, getting involved in wedding, not getting involved in wedding, has always been very interesting to most people, because it's wedding is just a contract, yet there is such a big deal we make out of it, that it's always very interesting, and we want to know the story of such and such with such and such, and all these wedding stories are, you know, our lives are filled with them. So I think you're again in one in a good spot to maybe get a nice comedy out for the bigger audience. And I was surprised also. I meant to mention that the Olivia Newton-John's song. Were you able already to get the rights for a song like that, or you're
Such a
working on
good
that too?
question. So we have a friend who is in music licensing, and he was able to speak to Warner Chaplin, and we actually got the sound alike of the song, and we paid for it. I mean, you cannot put any version of these songs, as you know, in movies, and it was a really important part of our movie. And so we invested in a version of the song legally so that it could be in our movie.
Oh, so you could get the original, or you could get what how do we call it?
So the original was very expensive, and for our short film, we were not interested in paying that kind
it's
of money.
just too much to
Right,
invest.
it's just silly. But you know, for the feature film, we'll have to see what that price actually is and put that into our budget. But for the short film, they had something called a sound alike, which is still owned by the studio, and it
Okay.
sounds very good, but it's not actually Olivia Newton-John.
It's a
It
kind of
sounds
cover
like
type of
a cover, yeah.
Yeah.
But the studio still
but
owns it.
it sounded very much like her, and I
Yeah, we agree. We wouldn't have used it if it
Nice,
sounded bad. But the fact that it sounded so good, we could squeeze it into the budget. It was still not cheap, but we got it done.
But it was necessary.
But it was necessary, so we agreed to invest in it.
And it's funny how we hear this song when we are in Iraq, and then when we are in the States, we have this dance, Iraqi dance, which is now it's like it should. It could have been on the opposite, but
Right.
but
That's
then
that's a good point.
which explains also that how colorful and rich is the community life of Arab Americans, even in the States. This is also to me a very nice point to show that the communities, the Arab communities, are well and doing well and happy in the States and doing things, very nice things, and it's very nice to see how they are so much integrated, yet different, and that gives color to the So
there's a big Arab American community here in California. It's kind of amazing, and this film has brought us to a lot of that community because they've come. We were in the Hollywood Arab Film Festival, which was here in Los Angeles, and it was amazing.
They opened their arms to us.
Yes, they really did, and their community and the audience loved the film, and it was amazing to see all these Middle Eastern filmmakers in one place. So it's the community is growing.
And the
let me ask you
for this kind of,
Yes,
the community is there for this kind of media.
I meant also to ask you how much of Arabic is spoken now in the community, or how much of Arabic does the community expect to see in a community-oriented film? I mean, words or a mix of one phrase in English, the other in Arabic, or how does it work? Because
I mean, just like for me, the movie is reflective of my life. It's my parents. I was born in Iraq. Arabic was my first language, and then when I came here, my family wanted me to learn English to fit in and all that. But then there was a period where they would speak to me in Arabic and I would answer in English or every other word. And so it's pretty authentic. That was my biggest goal, is to make it authentic first and foremost. And so, the actress that plays the mom, Zayn Shami, she, I just kind of said, say this and then make it your own, kind of thing. So a lot of the Arabic was improvised, and she was just great, and so it's very reflective of what, at least what I experience. And I have a lot of friends, at least Iraqi friends in the community and family that is like that. It's just kind of, it's casual, but I think it's also like other cultures do the same thing. They have, sort of the intermix of languages,
Well, I've seen a lot of Indian films now doing that a lot, with English and Hindu, what is interesting also I think is, I don't know, to consider, is the fact that Arab audiences are very large, much larger than the Arab community, Arab American community, and they might also be very interested in such type of film, but the connection with the language needs to be maybe there a bit enough so that they get into that. They need to feel that these guys are Americans, yet Arab origin, and because they.
But I would say in
same problem in Morocco with films done, for example, in Europe, because we have big community in Europe, in Holland or Germany, but when they mix Arabic and German, whatever, then they get an audience here too. People like to watch the movies, that same movie here. But if it's all German, then it's although they're Arab origin, because people might not know that language, English, enough to be able to follow, to follow the narration and so.
Yeah, I think, I mean, with Netflix everywhere, and now people are getting used to reading subtitles, and like Squid Game, all of these
Yeah,
shows and movies that are popular. I think people are getting used to the idea. But again, I come back to authenticity. It's whatever is
yeah,
authentic. And there was a deliberate choice to, in some of the Arabic, to not translate it word for word, because there's something funny about when you hear something, you don't necessarily understand it, but that the character is saying more than what you are,
yeah,
being translated on the screen. And there's something, I've always found that to be hilarious. It's like this little inside joke with, if but if not, then it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's like you're listening in on a conversation.
Uh-huh.
So it's just, again, going back to being authentic. It's all about authenticity.
Uh-huh. Well, you've done a great job, because, as a matter of fact, we do feel the authenticity of this community through the film. And so I guess the feature film is next. It's not another short or okay. And comedy is again is going to be the rule of the game, basically.
So, right?
Yep.
You liked it. You laughed. Whatever you like is what we're going to do.
I want your opinion about expressing oneself through comedy as a you know uh, as a cinema language, rich cinema language, because to me it's going beyond the normal cinema, because we not only do we there is drama, there are real issues discussed, but people are laughing, and they're taking it in a way that it's making them happy to learn all these things. And how do you feel? Why would you at the end make a comedy? Uh,
Because it's kind of like you said, you're laughing, and if you want to teach us, have a message, it's kind of easier to get that message in when somebody's laughing. Laughter is, very, as a connective thing. You laugh at something because you relate to it. And so then it's, it's also more fun. It's like, I like to laugh. So
Have you seen the TV show Mo on Netflix?
more no, but I will point it. I will write it down so that
Yeah. So
why is
the
this?
guy he's Palestinian, and it's
Okay.
a very serious subject matter. His parents have asylum in the States, and then they can't travel, and they moved to Texas. And it's not, if you look at it, it's not funny at all. But he's a
Uh-huh.
stand-up comedian. He's Palestinian, and
Uh-huh.
the show is a comedy on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a dramedy, right? And you
Dramedy.
think about it, and you sometimes you laugh out loud, and you just think, Middle Eastern people have a lot of strife and important stories to tell, and we've been
Yeah,
trying to tell them because there's things people need to know about our journeys. And I
yeah,
think that our market of Middle Eastern media is very serious. And I think there is a world in which we need levity and we need joy, because I'd say 90% of the stories are dramas.
right.
And so I think that's why we really wanted to do this. Not to say that all these dramas shouldn't be made. They're amazing. They really move me when I watch them. But it's nice to throw your hand in at something different, to tell
yeah.
a similar story.
Yeah. Well, I agree 100%. Yeah. Well, the best luck. The best luck to first this short, because I hope it will do good in our festival and in other festivals, if you're gonna make it travel a little bit, but
Yep.
also for the feature, which is coming, and it's a heavy thing. I know it's I myself, I'm a director, so I know how heavy it is to do a feature film. But I think you got all the ingredients for success. So I only hope that once you finish it, you think of us again for maybe submitting it, and
Of
it would
course.
be very nice
Yeah.
to have it too. And thank you so much, both of you, for
Thank
this
you.
time, and the pleasure of meeting you, and the
You
best luck
too.
to you
Very
both.
nice to meet
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
And may I ask, when is
Yeah.
our film going to be screening in the festival?
Okay. We are in the it's gonna take us maybe 24 more hours to. We have some films that we have not found the positioning because we are waiting for them to get here.
Okay.
They've been selected, and therefore we kind of. But it will be. I will send you the program with all the screening sessions because we have 28 short films this year, so quite a few, and therefore it's in 6 screening sessions, different screening sessions. So yeah, I'll let you know, and hopefully
we want to make sure we share it.
The whole
we
thing.
want to share it on our social media in case we have any international people who might be in the region.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much. This is exactly why we'd like to inform you so that you may talk a little bit about the festival, and
yes,
and we're trying our best.
We really wish we could have come
to comedy some kind of status in Morocco, but also we feel everywhere people kind of in festivals they kind of downgrade comedy for some reason, but festivals like ours, we're into comedy, and we feel that comedy is the best genre to fight for, and therefore we fight for that, and we want people to also be with us in that fight. Thank you again
so much.
so much.
Thank you.
Take care now. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.